Hey, everybody. Here with another Diakonos Pondering. Took a little bit of a break through the holidays. Thought just kind of focusing on Christmas and the Advent and everything like that. Um, and back now for 2022 and a new pondering. Actually, this one is related to Christmas, though. Back before Christmas, I I was kind of like probably 2 weeks or so before Christmas. I was kind of thinking about this. I woke up one morning and I just kind of had this thought entering my mind, thinking about the whole idea of how we reach people or how we interact with people who are marginalized in our community. And I kind of started thinking about, I joked with my wife afterwards and said, that morning, I said, yeah, I was waking up thinking about the Incarnation and Bedbugs, which kind of got her going, what? So, but anyway, so Incarnation and Bedbugs. We'll get to the Bedbugs part a little bit later. But I also kind of gonna want to unpack this a little bit. So there's this whole thing about incarnation or incarnational thinking, incarnational ministry. Whenever people talk about being missional, one word that goes along with it, or quite often one word that goes along with it, is that we want to be incarnational. In the communitas, we talk about embedding in a community, becoming a part of a community as we seek to bring an missional expression of faith into that community, particularly when we're connecting with people that are marginalized in our society. And what we mean by that is, when we talk about the word incarnation is about Jesus entering our world. God became flesh, that God entered our world through the form of Jesus Christ. But there's another verse, in John for chapter 1, it talks about no one's seen God, but God, the only Son, made him known, referring to Jesus. That when Jesus came, he brought God in flesh and blood to the people of his day there in what we would now call Israel or Palestine. The other interesting verse always, though, is in a letter that the same person, John, wrote. He said, no one's ever seen God, but when we love one another, we demonstrate God. Or when we live out the love that Jesus demonstrated, which is a love that touched people and entered their worlds, we make God known to others. And so this whole idea, when we think missionally, is we often think about how do we bring the presence of Jesus into the environment, to the people that he is calling and putting on our hearts to connect with. And going along with it is this whole scale that was made popular by Alan Hirsch, and you can find it in different sites or different places. But it's called the M scale. I think I will go with it this way. So basically, so you can see a little bit better, you have M0, M1, M2, M3, M4. Each of those numbers represents a barrier to people coming to Jesus, getting to know Jesus, or to entering into church. And a lot of times with a lot of our approaches to connecting with people, we focus on that M0, M1. We create things that'll catch those people that are really close. But you get further back, it might be a political issue. It may be a sense of rejection. It could be a sense of hurt about past experiences with people of faith. It can be a language barrier. It can be any number of barriers that people have to cross in order to connect with people who are of the people of faith, the people who represent Jesus. So you have those different levels of barriers. And a lot of times as I said, we focus on just creating something where those people with those maybe one barrier or, can kind of still find us and get to us. And we focus on things to bring people to us. And we take that same mentality to reaching people or connecting with people who are marginalized in our society, not always remembering that God has called us to enter their world. So what we'll do, say we want to reach people who are impoverished, or people of a different ethnic group, or people of, people that are dealing with addiction, struggling with addiction. We'll create an event in our world, or a program in our setting, that we try to invite them to, hoping that they will come, or trying to, and then a lot of times we end up with this frustration that they don't really feel like they connect there. Instead of thinking about, how do we enter the world of these people in their context, and spend time entering their world. And that's really kind of what happens with a lot of times when you're reaching marginalized groups, or in the case of our Diakonos community here in Indianapolis, we've done a lot of work with people who are experiencing homelessness, transitioning out of homelessness. And people are like, oh, I want to help people who are homeless. So they create something where they can invite homeless people to come to their event, or their place, to just have a quick contact, and then they go, oh, we reached the homeless people, type of thing. Now, again, different phraseology, calling people homeless versus people who are experiencing homelessness or transitioning out of homelessness. And instead, what we need to think about is how to enter into the world of the people that God has placed on our heart. And you think about this, and then this gets down to that whole bedbugs part of it. Jesus didn't enter a clean world. It was pretty messed up. Israel was under the oppression of a foreign occupier. It was in a place, or it was when he was born in a stable, which, I mean, with all those pretty images that you sometimes see in Christmas cards, that, ooh, it was like this anointed stable, that there was a glow there and an aura. If you've ever been around a barn or a stable where there's animals, you know that it gets a little messy. Because I gotta say, the sheep probably did not stop pooping in the stable just because Jesus was there. They did everything that sheep naturally do in a stable. So everything, all that mess is there as Jesus is being born. And he still entered the world, and all the other things. You see him go and connect with some people that are in the messiest stages of life, and he just enters their world and connects with them on their level. And when we are called to be missional, we need to remember that God sometimes, particularly when we're reaching and connecting with some of the most marginalized people in our community, we are going to enter into some messy situations. Some of those are just cleanliness of living situations. Some of those are messy lives. But we need to enter with the same grace and the same love that Jesus did. And we also need to remember that sometimes you deal with stuff that is really is not very comfortable for you. We've done a lot of work with entering into and helping apartment buildings that are low income buildings. And I will say Indianapolis has a challenge. We're one of the cities with a high percentage or high per capita problem with bed bugs in apartment buildings, in hotels. And it's something that travels regularly. Most of the places that we work, we've seen issues with bug infestations. Most of the places that we get involved in, we've made friends with people. We deal with bug infestations. And that can be one of those things that just makes you go, ooh, your skin crawls and you freak out. And you're like, well, I don't want to get any, we all grew up with the saying, don't let the bed bugs bite. But we enter into those type of places and connect with people that are living in the environment with no judgment. And we say, this is what God is calling us to, is to befriend these people and be a part of their world. I've actually have a really good recollection of when one particular building, first time I was going there, I was meeting. I connected with the staff person there who was working in the building, and invited me to come in and connect with some of the people there. And they were having a community meeting in the building, in the community room at this building. And somebody else was talking, introducing himself. And as I look over, the staff worker, she's like, glances down. I could see this little spot on her jeans, and she like noticed something. She quickly like flicked it off and she sent me a text afterwards. She was like, you might want to check your clothes, because I think we have some bed bug issues in the building, we're finding out. And so, but I was like, you know what? This is where I'm supposed to be. And that's how I think when I think about the whole idea of incarnation, I think sometimes we need to enter in again to other people's worlds, even when they're messy, even when they're uncomfortable. And there can be a lot worse things than dealing with a place where you know there are bed bugs, or you see bed bugs or roaches or any other type of bug. But you need to enter those worlds with grace and compassion, just like Jesus came into our world and all its mess and all its craziness, and helped and reached out to the people that needed Jesus the most, and connect with the people that Jesus loves and that he loved, and that we should connect with the people that he loved. So that's my thoughts, just kind of pondering that, just kind of a random one as we start out 2022, probably now that the New Year's started and we're kind of getting back into the rhythm of things, probably start doing a few more of these. But I hope everybody had a great Christmas and New Year's, and we will see you again.